Rakatay Hawa, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Most Are Not Ready. This lesson is inspired by something I just watched recently. Actually, a little while ago, just finished watching it, started watching it earlier. I believe I may have seen it before, but I don't remember. You know, you watch so many things. It's hard to remember every little thing that you watch, especially in this time when so much information is coming out. But this is a re-upload the brother GMS Prisoners of Hope 2 put up on his channel. He just put it up, I believe that's today. Yep. And pretty much it's a 22-minute and some change video. It's called How It Will Go Down, and pretty much, you know, the narrator is painting a picture, pretty much a dystopian picture of the future, you know, of how you have families that are well-to-do, living it up, you know, have two incomes, you know, children, you know, benefits, good jobs, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And then he speaks about when society starts collapsing and many of these companies start laying off and people's bills start stacking up and piling up, you know, food prices going sky high. I don't believe he mentioned inflation, but that's, you know, why it would be that way, which is the devaluing of the dollar. You know, and he just spoke about many different things and scenarios that happen when society and pretty much the economy of a society starts to collapse based off of the devaluing of the money. And it becomes harder and harder to sustain yourself. It becomes harder and harder to pay bills. It becomes harder and harder to find work, you know, and eventually it becomes harder and harder to get food. People get sick, people die, you know, people starve, and that situation leads pretty much to all-out chaos, because once people are in a desperate state of mind, most people are not, you know, most people have been brought up in these metropolises, which are mother cities, where everything is catered to them. You know, you have your restaurants, you know, your fast food restaurants, you know, different places where you can go to and get a meal replenished, you know, in your system quickly. You know, so most people are not used to going without. You know, some people, if they go a half hour without something to eat, they start losing it. You know, so just imagine after a certain period of time. You know, so this is pretty much a picture that he paints in here. You know, it goes in more detail, so I put this in the description box if you want to check it out. Very interesting. Like I said, I think I might have heard this before, but I don't really remember, you know, for certain. But it paints a picture of what's going on right now. And I'm almost positive this was done a while back. I'm not sure what year this came out, but this is a picture of, at that time was a picture of the future. Now it's a picture of today. All right. And I found an article too I want to get into that I just remember a saying that these preppers and, you know, different people speak about on a regular, that was written a while back. And when you read this article, it sounds like it was written yesterday or today. But I got a couple of precepts before we get to it. But just watch this here, how it will go down. You know, and it tells you pretty much, I mean, it goes into all kind of scenarios, you know, because desperate times call for desperate measures, and that's true. Matter of fact, let's see what that says. Call for desperate measures. When you say desperate times call for desperate measures, you mean that actions that might seem extreme under normal circumstances are appropriate during adversity. Example of use: I really don't want to break up with later for that. Actions that might seem extreme under normal circumstances are appropriate during adversity, and we're coming into some real adverse times, which leads us to the first scripture, 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. So we're about to enter a stage of peril. All right, just want to look up the word perilous. You know, people in America and around the world really haven't, you know, well, other countries have, but especially in America, they haven't suffered, you know, a um, real serious adversity, you know, where you have need, where you have to stand in line for hours, you know, and hope that you might get something to eat, you know, not knowing where you're going to lay your head down, you know, and even if you might find a place where you can lay your head down, not being able to really sleep because you're afraid somebody's going to come and get you, you know. So most Americans don't have that frame of mind. And other countries that had a societal collapse, or economic collapse, didn't have that thought in mind until it started happening to them. You know, now some of these countries that this has happened to, they're getting used to it because it became a way of life. And in order to survive, you have to deal with the adversity. Otherwise, it's going to swallow you up. So the word for perilous is kalepos. Right here, from kalau, through the idea of reducing the strength, you know, meaning let down, in other words, breaking down the strength, you know, because that's what perils do. So perilous is hard to do, to take, to approach. Because if you're used to having everything easy, then when hard times come, you're not going to be able to adapt, you know? And, you know, that saying, you know, hard men make good times make, I forget exactly how it goes. There's four steps to it, you know, but basically, you know, when you have it good, you become weak. When you're too comfortable, you become weak. You know, it's just to put it, you know, in layman's terms, hard to bear, troublesome. So troublesome times are coming, dangerous. And it's going to be dangerous because, you know, under normal circumstances, people act cordially with each other. But under desperate situations, and especially when people are hungry, that's when problems come up. That's when anarchy and chaos and just stepping over boundaries that you wouldn't normally step over under normal conditions. And this is what's coming to this society. This is what's coming to America and to the world, because remember, this is going to be a worldwide event that's taking place because they have an agenda that they're pushing. And that agenda is the NWO, which they want everything to be digital so that they can push their MOTB, so that they can get everybody in the world chipped. The brother brought it up. Oops, wrong one. Well, that brother brought it up too. Wait a minute. Okay, it says hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Hard times are coming because the majority of the world is in a weak state of mind. You know, so hard times are coming because the times have been made hard, you know. So it says harsh, fierce, savage. Now, before I go to the next precept, let's go to this word peril. And the word peril is serious and immediate danger, exposed to danger, threatened. So there's going to be a certain level of threat out here, you know, in these times. It's going to cause, you know, situations to change. People not to be able to be safe, you know, being a hard thing to travel from point A to point B, you know, and desperation is going to set in. You know, you have all these different futuristic movies about hard times, like the movie The Road, The Book of Eli, and others, you know, that have been showing people what's coming. But most people, when you speak about that, they scoff that, you know, that's just a movie, man. You guys in your movies. Yeah, but look at the movies back then, 10, 20, 30 years ago and look at the world today, and you're starting to see the parallels and the echoes of those things that were written back then. You're starting to see it in the world today. So this know also that in the last days, and we're in the last days, perilous times shall come. Then we move to the next one, 1 Thessalonians 5:1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. And before the Lord comes, he told us of all the things that would be happening in the world today. All of the perilous things and the famines and the pestilences and the plagues and the, wars and rumors of wars and, the love of many waxing cold. What do you think would make the love of many wax cold? The scriptures say iniquity shall abound. And when you could be neighbors, good neighbors for years, good friends, but when it comes down to that last sandwich, and between the sandwich and the friendship, well, guess what? The friendship is going to go out the door, So it goes on to say, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. That's ultimately the nuclear destruction. But this is leading to the dark times that are coming. By the time Yahushua gets here, it's going to be total chaos out here. Let's go real quick to Daniel 12, and then we'll come back to 1 Thessalonians. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble. And this time of trouble is going to be bad. Let's look up that word trouble. Time of trouble, the word is tazarah, which is fear. Straits, distress, trouble, vexer, rival wife. So straits, distress, trouble. And what is straits is not spelled as walking straight forward. It's spelled different. And the reason why is because it's a different word. This word straight means to be in a position of difficulty. So the times that are coming are going to put people in a position of difficulty, because this is how it's going to go down by the time the Lord gets here to deliver us from this time. And then the subheading here says the time of the end. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, who standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered. Everyone that shall be found written in the book, meaning the elect, will be delivered. But everybody else is going to be under peril. What is that? Proverbs 10 and 25, is it? That's good. But there's another one. Oh, right there, 24. Beautiful. Proverbs 10:24. The fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous shall be granted. As a whirlwind passeth, so is the wicked no more, but the righteous is an everlasting foundation. So the fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him. So pretty much what we're seeing now, the great fear that people have is, more than anything, is hunger. Not to have enough food to eat for them and their family. It says, they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Why? Because the Spirit of the Lord has us watching what's going on, and has us also reporting on what's going on. You are all children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. Why? Because these people that are sleeping, this is going to come upon them unexpectedly. Like it says in Luke, the 21st chapter, that the day of the Lord is going to come upon them unexpectedly, in so many words. And this time that's coming, these hard times, is going to come upon them unexpectedly. Because when we out there telling them what's going to go down, they scoffing. Because they got a McRib sandwich in their mouth, and a piece of fried chicken in the other hand, and an orange soda in their pocket, scoffing. But when reality hits, they're going to be like, oh, shit. It says, for they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. That's why the name of the lesson is, most are not ready. And they're not going to be prepared because they haven't been prepared for what's coming. You know? So, let us go to the this article here. It says 9 meals from anarchy. And this is a saying that a lot of people use today, especially preppers and so-called conspiracy theorists, as they call them. You know, and you see here, what? People in line and empty shelves. Now, I don't know when exactly this was written, right? But from the wording of the story that they're reporting on, this was written a while back. You know, I don't know when, because it doesn't have any anywhere in here. It doesn't have a date, which I hate when they do that. But it says in 1906, Alfred Henry Lewis stated, "There are only 9 meals between mankind and anarchy," which 9 meals would equal about 3 days. You know, most people eat 3 meals a day. So 3 meals for one day, 3 meals for the next day, 3 meals for the day after that. So if people don't eat within 3 days, that's what he's saying, anarchy is going to pop off. So this individual coined that, or made this statement back in 1906. Since then, his observation has been echoed by people as disparate as Robert Heinlein and Leon Trotsky. The key here is that unlike all other commodities, food is one essential that cannot be postponed. If there were a shortage of, say, shoes, we could make do for months or even years. A shortage of gasoline would be worse, but we could survive it through mass transport or even walking if necessary. Now you see the picture they're painting here, but these are actually things that are happening right now. Through this, there's a word for it. Through this engineered shortages, this bottleneck that they're doing. You know, in not allowing the goods to come in, because they're doing that on purpose so that they can put people in a bad spot, so that they can make them to comply with the mandates that they're giving them. In order for them to be able to eat and to survive, they have to participate, you know. It says, but food is different. If there were an interruption in the supply of food, which there is right now, that's why I said this was written a while back, I'm not sure when. It said, but food is different. If there were an interruption in the supply of food, fear would set in immediately. And when fear sets in immediately because of a food shortage, what do you think people go out there and do? They panic buy. They start buying everything that ain't nailed to the walls. And what that causes is, you may have 10 gallons of milk, let's say, and another person, they come there, they can't get no milk because you done bought all the milk. So what do you think is gonna happen? That person that didn't get nothing, they might wait for you in the parking lot, and you know, it's on like Donkey Kong. It says, and if the resumption of the food supply were uncertain, the fear would become pronounced. And how would it become pronounced? Because of the actions of the people. And this is why these so-called elite want what? Ordo ab chaos. They want order out of chaos. They want total anarchy out here in the streets. They want a total collapse of society, financially, on all levels. And have the people in such a desperate mind state that they'll cry for a solution. And that solution would be what? For them to implement their agenda that they've been wanting to do for the longest and get what they want. And most people of the world are going to comply with that. It says, after only 9 missed meals, it's not unlikely that we'd panic and be prepared to commit a crime to acquire food. If we were to see our neighbor with a loaf of bread and we owned a gun, we might well say, I'm sorry, you're a good neighbor and we've been friends for years, but my children haven't eaten today. I have to have that bread, even if I have to shoot you. So the love of many shall wax cold. Iniquity shall abound. But now this is why I say that this had to be written a while back. It says, because, but surely there is no need to speculate on this concern. There is nothing on the evening news to suggest that such a problem even might be on the horizon. But we're knee deep in it. We're knee deep in it. You're going to these different supermarkets, and what they're doing is they're taking products, and spreading them out on the shelves to make it seem like there's a whole lot of stuff. But when you go in there, when you go behind it, inside joke, there's hardly anything there. But that's a marketing strategy to not allow people to get, in a panic state of mind, so that they don't go, what, there's only 4 of those left, I'm gonna take all 4. It's a marketing strategy. So it says, but surely there is no need to speculate on this concern. There is nothing on the evening news to suggest that such a problem even might be on the horizon. And it is on the horizon. It's here. So let's have a closer look at the actual food distribution industry compared to the present direction of the economy, and see whether there might be reason for concern. Now I'm not going to really read into this right now. I may go back and check out some more of this. But that's the main point that I wanted to get there. That we're in this situation. Some places are in it worse than others, but it's really taking a hold and a grip on America. And people are desperate, but they're not that desperate yet. But there's gonna come a point where they're just gonna start snapping. You're gonna see things worse than Venezuela and other places that happen here. And what that's going to cause is pretty much the shutdown of somebody's emotions, a shutdown of sympathy, and bring upon the apathy, for the world. Because it's like, look, this is going to be survival of the fittest. Only the strong will survive in the jungle, And you're going to start seeing people, you're going to start seeing the animal in people out here, from this panic, from this, desperate mind state. All right, so let's go to 2 Ezra 15:1. Behold, speak down the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Because at the end of the day, we are to speak the words of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because they will come out. And it doesn't matter if the people out here, if Jake out here listens to us or believes us or not, because the Lord got that covered. Romans 3:3, for what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? The Most High forbid. Yea, let the Most High be true, but every man a liar. As it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged. Why? Because we will be standing on the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's why it says, if any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of the Most High. So going back to verse 3, fear not the imagination against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against me. Because at the end of the day, just because they don't believe, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. And we're not to get upset, that they don't believe, because that's the portion that was given to them, not to believe. Like the saying goes, what you eat don't make me shit. So pretty much if they don't believe it, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Because the Lord said it's sure. They're faithful and true. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Why? Because they did not extend their hand to the Lord when the Lord was reaching out to them to save them. It says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Because this is how the Lord is. This is some of the ways that the Lord is bringing judgment upon this world. Now let's jump down to the 14th verse. It says, matter of fact, before we go there, because there's more in there, but I just wanted to get to the point. But since this scripture popped in my head, let's get it. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 13. Wow. I'll just go straight to the point. Verse 13. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. So basically, I will punish the world for their evil. And this is why this place is being punished, for the evil of this place, and the wicked for their iniquity. for the constant blatant things that they do. Like we get upset sometimes, when they pushing that, trans and all that other, the alphabet people agenda, but it has to go down that way because this is how the Lord is going to judge them. The Lord is going to judge them based off of their actions. So they have to be doing something for the Lord to bring the fire. And the more they do, the more fire, the quicker the fire comes. It says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Yeah, because the Israelite man of the elect, that's out there teaching the word, of whoever the elect may be of the men of the Lord, they're going to be made more precious than fine gold, because a lot of these men are going to die in these times. A lot of these men, because a man is supposed to be a covert, for a woman. Let's go real quick to Isaiah 32. Isaiah 32 and 2. And a man shall be in hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And this is why most men today, especially here in America, are in a simplified spirit, because there's no need for that bravery of a man in most cases, because things are running the way it's running. Everything is soft, like the brother had put up there. Good times make weak men, and that's what we're witnessing. We're witnessing weak men. So the natural way a man is, and his natural ability to protect his family has been stripped. It's just like a lion that has his nuts cut off, or his mane cut off. So that the thing that makes a man is being stripped, because there's no need for it here, because this is a metropolis, and the constant, beating or browbeating with the, toxic masculinity is making men become more and more effeminate. You see? And that's where the Lord said he's going to make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than a golden wedge of Ophir, as we were reading in Isaiah, the 13th chapter. So going back here, 2 Ezra 15 and 14, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh. And this is what's happening. The Lord is bringing forth his words, his prophecies to pass, and causing them to take root on the planet, because it's time. It's time for the prophecies to speak. Once it crosses that threshold of time, they have to speak. They will not hold their mouth, because the words of the Lord will not go out void. It says, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. Why? Because you're going to have class wars. You're going to have race wars. You're going to have people that are going to band together to protect their neighborhoods until they start running out of food and they go against each other. But for the most part, they're going to be banding together to fight against those that are going to come into their neighborhoods to take what they have, because they had the presence of mind to prepare, and other people didn't. So the people that didn't are going to come to the people that did, and there's going to be a clash there. You see? Because there's going to be desperation. So one side is going to be desperate because they're going to be hungry. The other side is going to be desperate because they're going to want to protect what they've worked hard to put together for them and their families and their neighbors, whoever it may be. So there's going to be a lot of desperation. It says, for there shall be sedition among men. See, a rising up amongst each other. It says, and invading one another. Why are they going to invade one another? Because right now, since it's just, what's the word? Just read it. Since it's, let's see if I can find that real quick. Just read the freaking word. Yeah, I can't think of the word right now. But pretty much, there's no desperation right now. There was a word or something that was used. I believe it was in this article, but that's all right. No big deal. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. Why? Because there's going to be desperate times. It's not going to be. It's going to be a totally different outlook than what we see right now. Right? It says, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. Why? Because a lot of these police officers, a lot of these, law enforcement are quitting their jobs. Some of them are being fired, and eventually, when there's no money, you're gonna have those that's gonna take off and go their separate ways. So that's gonna cause anarchy. And right now, the firing of these police and people and police quitting their jobs because of these mandates is causing less and less law enforcement, which is causing the ones that are left is causing more of a strain on them because you don't have enough people to rotate. Now the amount of people that they have to patrol didn't change, but the amount of people that they have within the ranks has changed. So that's gonna put a strain. That's gonna cause people to say, man, the hell with this, man. I'm tired of this shit, It says, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, because it's going to come to a point that the people are not going to care if you have the police there, National Guard, or whatever the case may be, because they're going to be desperate. In order for you to go against the government, and you're going to be desperate. People are going to be desperate, And what's the one thing that will make a person the most desperate is not being able to eat. We just read here that 9 meals from anarchy. Once people don't eat for a day, they get grouchy. People don't eat for 2 days, but when the time third day comes in, that's rage sets in. Because that's one sure way to bring the animal out of somebody, not give them no food. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because there's going to be anarchy. You're not going to be able to go to these different places. And then when you see movies like The Road, if a group of marauders saw some people walking around, what were they doing? Even in the book of Eli, they were going up on them, either killing them, taking whatever they had, and moving on. And in the movie The Road, they were killing people and chopping them up and eating them. That was the food, because cannibalism is coming back. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. And that's what's going to happen. You see, when Jake starts rioting and looting, the city's be in trouble. But then when this situation happens, that's going to bring on rage. So the cities are really going to be troubled, which is going to bring in those perilous times. It says, the houses shall be destroyed and men shall be afraid. Somebody put, let me see, synonyms for desperation: agony, anxiety, gloom, grief, heartache, melancholy, pain, sorrow. And that's what's going to cause them hard times to come in and set in. All right. So let's go back. Let's read this again. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. See, even men are going to be afraid because of the total, once society goes beast mode, that's it, man. People their only thought in mind is to survive. That's all they care about is survival. They don't care about anything else. Nothing else matters to them except for survival. And that's what's going to bring the beast out of people. You think that your neighbors are cool with you? Wait till hunger sets in. Wait till, they don't have enough to eat or nothing to eat at all. Then you're going to see the other side of them. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. See? So like I said, even those, like what as the Spirit says, even these people that might have a community amongst themselves that they're protecting their own, whether it be 10 families or 15 families, however many, once the supplies that they have start running down, they're going to start turning on each other. The scriptures even tell you when you read further down that those that go to flee up in the mountains, they're going to die in the mountains of starvation. They're going to eat each other. They're going to drink each other's blood for hunger and for thirst. It says, but shall destroy. Let's read it again. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. Why? Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So, this stuff is coming. You have those that denied that, the time of Jacob's trouble wasn't going to come. And then they retracted that, but they made it seem, no, that's not what I said. I said this. No, you didn't. We all heard what you said. But that's the way of a clown. Anyway, let's read that again. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. There's going to be a great tribulation coming upon the world. So when you watch this, it breaks it down. How it's going to go down. A scenario of how it will play out. And we're almost at this point right now. But as far as the elect are concerned, the elect don't have to worry. Like the brother put here, Job 5:22, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. Yeah, because when destruction and famine comes, we're not going to have to worry about that. Lord's will, we be the elect. There was another one that came to mind. Let's go real quick to Psalms. I believe that's 37 and 19. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. Why? Because, let's go real quick to Revelation 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. So the Lord said, my servants shall eat. My servants, those that serve me, are going to eat. Why? Because the Lord is going to provide somehow, some way. So it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. So something's going to happen where there's going to be some type of divine intervention, whether it's the chariots, whether the Lord causes some type of miracle, whether the Lord gives his men spiritual power, whether the elect of the Lord may be somewhere and just manna drops from heaven, or run into a whole thing of food, whatever the case may be. However the Lord got it played out, it's going to be taken care of. It says, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And we're fast approaching this. We're in it. We're no longer waiting for it to come. It's here. It just hasn't intensified yet. And that's why these devils, the Lord put the spirit on them to cause this bottleneck, to cause the supply chain to slow down, to almost to a halt, to get all of these different supplies that these devils had from these different corporations in certain warehouses that they may have had to dwindle. So that once they run out, that's it. Now what you're gonna do? Well, you want that loaf of bread, you got the juice works, so what's up? What you gonna do? You see? And that's what's gonna cause a panic. And people that don't have are gonna look to the ones that have to get what they have so that they can survive. So when you get a chance, watch this. It's a very, very good scenario, very good possibility that's going to happen. And it's going to happen like that because the scriptures say it's going to happen like that. He even goes on to say how his 15-year-old daughter, the narrator was saying how the 15-year-old daughter went to go sell her snatch, and go dance and sell her snatch out there because that was the only way they could make money. And he was against it, but then eventually the mother and the daughter, broke him down, and he let her go, and she disappeared, and blah blah blah, whoop de whoop, this, that, and the other. So this shit is gonna get real, man. Women are gonna be a commodity out here in them days. The ones that are not protected from by the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, they're gonna be a commodity out here. Their body is gonna be how they're gonna have to pay their way. So yeah, man. Like the script we just read here, 9 meals from anarchy. So people are going to start feeling that crunch once the shelves start really looking like this and there's nothing to eat. You know, because hunger is a great motivator. That's the greatest fear that people have. Like he said here, you can go without shoes, you can go without clothing. You know, you could wear your old clothes. You know, you could even be, homeless and find a way to survive. But one thing, you know, humans can't do, especially Americans, is go without food. You know. So with that, you know, I pray that you brothers and your futures have been edified. Until the next time I say shalom.